Good evening, glory, and hallelujah to you. What the heck's your story and what's going through you? This is the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show. Make no mistakes about it. We're out to have a good time tonight, Bass Galaxy. I'm your host, Pat Renwick. Give it up for yourself. It's Wednesday nights. Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And you can tell we're excited. We're overly excited often on Straycast, but especially the past few weeks and these upcoming weeks with some wing dingers we got worked up. And tonight we have the return of KVD to SCTV. That is correct. You down with KVD? Yeah, you know me. The Wizard of Winding, they call him. Or I just call him that. But anyway, KVD, and we're happy to have him back, and he has some things to say to you, Bass Galaxy. So pretty stoked about that. With all that being said, lots of cool stuff in store for you, the Bass Galaxy, to help celebrate this situation. First off, the good folks over at Tin Cup Whiskey are throwing in a KVD pack tonight. It's a box of goodness coming right to your doorstep. It's all because of KVD. The official brown liquor of bass fishing. We're throwing you a bonus tonight. There you go. And get this, of course. What would a Straycast show be without giving away the most amazing line and lure conditioner on the planet, KVD's line and lure conditioner, on this KVD show tonight? That's right. Isaac at Line and Lure is throwing in basically a wheelbarrow full of KVD line and lure. But wait, that's not all. He's also throwing in some Arma Shield. Yep, but wait, that's not all. He's also throwing in some BTS, bow to stern, boat cleaner. And get this, all you got to do is like and share the live Facebook feed. That's it. It's that easy. It's that easy. Like and share the live. Like and share the live Facebook feed. JR Rock and Shoal Fantasy. He's on the chat board there. And at the end of the show, he's going to pick the winners. And you know what, Ginger? We didn't tell Kevin yet, but let's send Kevin the line and lure winner at the end of the show, because that's a heck of a prize pack right there, a whole truck full of line and lure, basically. It's all going down tonight here. Straycast, the glorified version of a bass and talk show. Speaking of glorified, you know who's a glorious producer in this bass fishing talk show game? He's the one and only, red on the head, like a producer should be. It's Andrew Ellenberger.
He's a ginger ninja.
He said that.
Pat, hey, Bass Galaxy.
Gingy, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good, Gingy.
Yeah.
You know what the heartbeat of bassin' is?
The heartbeat?
A heartbeat of bassin'.
The bass.
Yeah, it's the bass. That's exactly right, Ginge. And you know where it goes after that? You know what the heartbeat of Durban is after the bass? The anglers, the grassroots anglers. I mean, I wasn't going to go here round and round the mulberry bush with you, but I mean, I know you know that. And talk about grassroots bassin'. Cal Sag Bass, battle for the belt. Give it up for those boys right there. South side of Chicago bass fishermen. CalSagBass.com. Congratulations to Duncan Kopp Richardson, DKR, on his victory. He brought home the battle of the belt. He brought home the belt at the Cal Sag Derby. Also familiar to our hearts, Ryan Popcorn Whitaker. He was the AOY for the Cal Sag River Division. The Big Lake Battle for the Belt, that's this weekend. Check out more about CalSagBass.com and your chance at winning a huge tournament coming up. More info soon on that. Andy, you're a local derber, right? I consider you a local derber. And you fish locally when you get a chance, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, last week we did a little thing about local angling, and when I'm around the house, I'm jumping around spot to spot, here and there, and I'm beating the snot out of the Impulse lithiums on purpose, testing them. And we did a little game last week, and you guessed the percentage left on the Impulse app. Okay, remember?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give you the scenario. So this week, I've been spending some time, or let's just say yesterday, I was on the river, all right? And it had the weirdest thing. It was a reverse current, one current from the east, one current from the west. And I don't understand it. I'm not a biologist or whatever you call those, but it was because of Lake Michigan. I know that, and it was weird, Andy. The water dropped, and I couldn't get to things.
Moon was pushing.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. But listen to me. We're out there all day, 8 hours. Get back, check the impulse. 3 guys in the boat, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the percentage was, Ginge?
Did you spot lock all day?
Didn't spot lock once.
74.
Higher?
Higher?
Yeah.
81.
Dude, I was at 92%
fuck, yeah.
at the end of the day. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I got that fancy thing that Bill and Darlene gave me that charges the batteries as I go with the outboard or not, but hey, I was happy, and it was kicking all day, bud, all right? Hey, you know what else is kicking this time of year when the water gets colder? I'll give you 3 guesses, and it starts with flat side. Flat side crankbaits, 25% off OmniaFishing.com right now, Ginge. Right now. Hey, how's our correspondent doing there? Is he there? Is our correspondent ready from the with a tin cup whiskey update for the Bass Galaxy? Bam, do. Oh, Ginge, you know what? Before I get to that, I got to tell you something real quick. Look, this cut on my hand is from WhiteRiverKnives.com. And Ginge, this knife that I'm going to show you today is, Foley's here? Let's bring Foley in for this. He's going to love this. Here it is. It's the Whiskey Gypsy. Look at you.
Guys.
You're not sipping on gin and juice. That's way too brown. I could tell.
Yeah, I know. You know what I'm sipping on. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I know you're sipping on a little tin cup mountain whiskey, and I happen to have a extra strong black coffee in a tin cup coffee mug, Foles. I'm amped up.
You?
I'm amped up, bud. I mean, I am amped up. And I was just telling the Bass Galaxy, you heard of our new advertising partner, White River Knives /Stray, right? See, I got to change. You heard of them, right, Foles?
Yeah, you said you cut yourself.
Yeah, I did, man. I cut myself on. They're so sharp already. But look, this is the Ninja's knife. This is Andy's knife here, and this is a EDC. Do you know what an EDC is, Foles?
Yeah.
No, it's not erectile dysfunction category. It's everyday carry. This is everyday carry. All right? And this is going to be the Ginger Ninja's everyday carry, and this is called the Hunter. Now, look at this deal. This is a B.A. Baracus type knife right here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The A-Team, that was a great show.
Yeah.
That was a great show.
And I could see B.A. Baracus carrying this as an EDC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all
absolutely.
handmade, custom knives. White River Knives.com. There it is, folks. What do you
Sounds
Where are
good.
you
I
at?
gotta check that out.
Are you at the office?
I'm in the Keys. I'm in the Keys right now.
The Florida Keys?
So I am in the Florida Keys right now. Yep.
It doesn't look like the Florida Keys.
Doing. Well, here, look here.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Now you're bougie. Wow. Supermodels and everything for those listening on the podcast.
Well, yeah. It's.
Are you on
it's pretty
DiCaprio's
nice
island?
No. There's no bass on that island. Me and Leo, we're gonna go. We're gonna go with Zona somewhere.
Hey, Foles, for those that don't know, every week here on the Stray Cast Show, that's a frozen Luke Foley. Can you still hear me? He's got Key Wested. I think.
Key Weston.
There he is. Hey, Foles.
Yeah.
Every week here, I was starting to say, as you froze up, you were like, it was a glorious pose, too. You were smashing a goblet. Hey, every week here on the Stray Cast Show, you come on and give us a little tin cup whiskey word of the week, and every time you hear that word, you take a little sippy of whatever it may be. It could be an adult beverage. It could be tin cup mountain whiskey. It could be a cafe con leche or an ice cold Coca-Cola. Now, Foles, what's the word of the day?
It's not a word. It's 3 little letters, and you know what they are. KVD.
KVD. So every time the Bass Galaxy hears KVD, they take a little sippy, and you're still doing call-offs.
Absolutely.
You're backlogged, though. You have apparently you're backlogged.
Yeah, I had to call myself off. I was out drinking on Duval Street with my new boss last night till 2:30 in the morning. Got back to the hotel at 2:50, and then I went out on the flats boat at 7 a.m. this morning. So I took a little nap this afternoon. I'm not even gonna lie.
I like it, Foles. You're living the good life. Bassin'
Yeah,
and brown liquoring across the
Yeah.
land. That's not bad, bud. That's not bad.
no, there's worse things. There's worse things.
Hey, Foles. Well,
So,
we again
yeah.
thank you for your contribution to the Bass Galaxy, and again thank you for the special KVD pack tonight going out to the Bass Galaxy. You're amazing.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
And here's the deal: 2 like and shares, Foles. Like and share the live Facebook feed, and you can win the KVD Line and Lure Extravaganza pack. It's super easy. That's it. Or the
Super easy. Nothing
you
to it.
can't win the Tin Cup Whiskey prize. That's for the rest of the Bass Galaxy.
No.
But you're going to have your share tonight.
That's okay.
Hey, Foles.
That's okay.
Thank you for everything, bud, and have a great time in the Keys.
All right. Thanks. I'll see you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, send some pictures, okay?
Oh, I will.
All right, there it is. Hey, Bass Galaxy, put the power poles down. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back.
KVD.
Yeah, that's right, KVT. Here's to you. We'll be right back.
All right. See you guys. Love you guys.
Love you too, bud.
There's a moment when you're faced with a challenge, and just solving the problem isn't good enough, even if that means breaking the rules and shredding apart conventional ways of thinking, all in the name of creating something truly remarkable. With this much control at its command, we didn't stop with just one. We created 2 incredible trolling motors. Introducing the new Power Pole Move brushless trolling motor.
This is the mountain, and this is mountain whiskey. Unspoiled, untamed, forever wild. There's no safety net, no way down. Up here, it's just man, and the mountain, and his tin cup. Tin Cup Whiskey. Mountain whiskey.
Want to know the difference between power bait and other soft plastics? Ask the fish. Berkeley scientists have. Thousands of flavors tested on thousands of fish. Natural. Man-made. Every bait that's ever hit the water. No matter the shape, size, or color, power bait is the only one that is scientifically proven. Fish bite and will not let go.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
Realize your boat's potential with outboard performance accessories that improve the handling, speed, and economy of your boat. Find your perfect accessory from Bob's Machine.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the glorified version of a bass fishing talk show. I'm your host, Pat Renwick, and make no mistakes about it. This guy right here, he is part of bass fishing history. He is an icon of the sport. Legend, Kevin VanDam. Welcome back, Kevin.
Hey, Pat, how you doing, man?
Good, Kev. Look at you, dude. You look really good, Kev.
But I appreciate it, man. That's nice. I don't see you at all, so that's I'm not the most tech savvy guy here.
Oh yeah,
on the planet.
I don't know. I don't look
There
good
you
at
go.
all.
I got you now.
But you look amazing. You got a good look about you. For those that are going to listen on the podcast tomorrow, Kevin is all in black, looking like a bass and outlaw, and I kind of like it. I like your style, Kevin.
It's starting to chill down up here a little bit. We got some cold weather coming, so I got a vest on tonight. It's cold in my house, in the basement.
Yeah, he's got the.
I'm down in the basement.
That's a popular place in this region of the country, especially in the Chicagoland area, Kevin. Basement dwellers are common,
Well, it just happens to be real close to the bar.
It's a good place for you tonight, and I'm happy you're here, Kevin. It's been a while since we've been able to talk, and first off, congratulations on your retirement, I guess. What an amazing career. Is that what I say? I mean, was that awkward? I don't know. Congratulations. It's great. Amazing career.
No, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. 33 years of tournament competition. For me, it's a good time, but I'm not retiring. I'll promise you that. You'll probably see more of me. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of work. But I love, I love being an ambassador. I like producing content. I like television, all that. And so it's the time for me to make that transition.
Well, I have a whole bunch of ideas for you. Don't worry. I got ideas for you later, Kevin. So keep you busy. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to have a whole lot of spare time, but I'm always up for ideas.
Well, hey, first off, before we get going here, I want to tell you thank you for your support of our endeavors here. First with the Bass Buzz radio show out of Chicago, Hammond, Indiana, and now with the Stray Cast show. And thank you, Kevin. Some of the endeavors you may remember, some you may not. I don't know.
You've been doing it a really long time as well, if my recollection is correct.
Yes, nowhere near 33 years, but I think, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, we're almost at 12 years total between radio and internet. So it's
well, it seems like 30 to me.
Right, good answer. Well, I want to give you a couple what we call brushes with KVD, okay, with us throughout our history together, our relationship, Kevin. Let's call it that, okay? All right?
You bet.
Okay. So the first time I ever ran into you and had a mano-y-mano was at Randy's shop at DNR. And you may remember this, you may not, but it was a beautiful spring day. And all of a sudden, the craziest snowstorm came in, and it stopped Rick Clunn dead in Chicago's airport, O'Hare Airport. Do you remember that year?
Yeah, it's man, that's been a while ago, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought
the spring show at DNR is always, you're going to have crazy weather. It's either 90 or 20 and snowing.
Well, it was an epic show, and you might remember I was the guy going to Randy. I got Clunn. Don't you worry. I'm driving to Chicago and getting Clunn. I got him. And Zona's like, let's get out of here, Kevin. Come on. Yeah, you probably don't remember that, but that's how it
No,
works.
I do. We've only had Clunn, I think, 2 times to the store, so that's a big deal, to be able to get the Rick Clunn for the spring DNR show. We've had a lot of great guests over the years, but they're only one Rick Clunn, man.
But I did get you as a guest for the first time on the radio show out of that deal there. That was
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And the next time I ran into you, Kevin, was at a Bass Pro Shop at Johnny's Playhouse over in Portage, Indiana. And
I remember that
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and we did the dumbest interview maybe of my career, and I was in line forever, and the first thing I said was, Kevin, it's easier to get to see Santa Claus waiting in line or something stupid like that, and you just said, dude. That's all you said was, dude. That's it. And that's pretty much the interview. It was amazing, Kevin. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. All right, next one. This is a good one. All right. St. Clair and Red Roof Inn parking lot. The famous Red Roof Inn. Remember?
Yeah, at Little Mac Ave.
Yeah.
Exit 236.
Yes.
I know it well.
Now,
Not a safe place to stay anymore, by the way.
No, not anymore. No, but at the time, you were kind of king of the Red Roof. I'm not going to kid you, Kevin. You rolled in. You even had your own parking cones. I'm like,
I think that we stayed there at that same hotel when I was in the Federation tournaments, like when I was 17, 18 years old. So that tells you how long that Red Roof Inn's been there.
It's been there for a while. But you just kept yelling at me, "Hey, Mustaine!" After you like from Megadeth or something. I guess that's what you were saying. I don't know what you were doing there. But then the last time I ran into you, Kevin, was at Aaron's induction for the Hall of Fame. And I got to tell you, you were KVD in rare form. You were awesome. When you were drumming up the money for the auction for the HOF, you were on, dude. Like you were like the Don Rickles of Bassin that night, if anybody knows what that is.
Well, I've been to a lot of those Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, but I've only been on the board for a couple of years on the other side, actually kind of working behind the scenes and seeing what goes on. And you can attest, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is, it's legit space.
Amazing.
The museum's awesome. It's a really, it's an honor to be a part of it. It's an honor to be in it. And it's expanding again. So we did it again this year. The one thing that we did a lot different this year is we actually hired a real professional auctioneer for the first time, because Baby Height and we did it last year.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
We're not that good,
but you didn't realize it, but I loved it. You and D Height just going at it after a few adult beverages. You know what I'm saying? You guys were amazing.
Well, this year, so Ike got inducted,
yes,
at the Hall
we
of
had
Fame
him last
yesterday.
week. It was awesome.
Yeah. And, he's never been to one or anything like that. I talked to him. Actually, I seen him this past weekend at the Toyota Owners event as well. Yeah. And man, he was it's an incredible event. It's a first class ceremony. The Hall of Fame is awesome. The banquet is killer. And, Ike was even shocked. I don't think he realized just what it was. You don't see him speechless very often. And it actually made him speechless. So. And
what year were you inducted? Was it like 17, 18, Kevin?
2018, I believe.
18,
and the reason I know that is because they gave me this year, they finally got our induction year class coins done for all the classes. And so I actually have them now, 2018.
Awesome. Excellent, man. And we talked about it with Mike last week on the show. You basically have achieved the quadfecta of proper bassin, and I'll lay it out for you. First off, you've won a blue trophy, many of them. You have achieved Angler of the Year status 7 times, I believe, and also you won a Bassmaster Classic, 4 of those, not actually all you, and then finally Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. That's the 4, in our opinion, the 4 most important achievements in bass fishing, and congratulations on that.
I've never done it for any of the trophies or the accolades or anything like that. I love the competition, love the sport, love the people. To me, that's what really makes it special. Is the people that are around it. Just a lot of really good people. But that's going to be the hard part that I'm going to miss from the tournaments is the guys you see every day, my roommates, and people, but I'm still, I'll still be going to the shows and ICAST and things. So we'll get together. So when we do, it'll be epic. If you know what I mean.
Oh, I do. We can tell if you know what I mean.
Oh, I can tell.
Let's talk bass fishing in life, Kevin VanDam. You want to do that?
I'm good, man.
All right, let's do it. So I want to go back to 1987. A young little Kevy VD, right? Way back in 1987. You remember your first BASS Derb in 87?
I do, exactly, very much so. It was a big lesson I learned in that one.
Well, we probed Ronnie Moore, just so you know. We probed Ronnie Moore, and we probed him hard for some amazing information about you. And we found that in that first tournament in the BASS records, you came in 110th place, Kev.
Yep.
Yeah. Your first derb ever out of the gates, high hopes, KVD, 110th. And then just knocked flat on your dupa, as they say in Poland. And how are you feeling after that? What's the lesson learned?
Well, let me tell you the story because it'll all make sense to you after you hear this. So
okay, good.
The first day of that tournament, that's my first Bassmaster tournament. It's Thousand Islands, New York, St. Lawrence River. I hadn't fished there, but I did, I did go there and practice. It's smallmouth water. I felt like it'd be a good place to get my feet wet, see how good these guys really were. First day of the tournament, I drew out with Ron Shear, which Ron Shear at the time was a really big time name pro.
Yes, of course.
And he did a great job of intimidating me and talking me out of wanting to. Back then it was invitational, so it's pro on pro, right?
Yep.
And you flip for the boat or used to the boat at a time, and he's like, "Man, how you doing?" And I said, I'm actually catching them pretty good. I've got a flat that's covered up with smallmouth. I'm catching them on a lipless crankbait. And I said, I'm catching, 12 to 14 pounds pretty easy every day of that. And he looked at me and said, well, shoot, that ain't going to do nothing here, man. You got to do a lot better. He said, I got a place where we can catch a 4-pounder every cast if we can get there.
Wow.
And I said, oh, okay. Well, I said, that sounds pretty good to me, So I let him take his boat, and we started to make a really long run. But back then, the weather forecasting wasn't like it was today. And we were in a 364 Ranger with a 150 in 1987. We didn't have near the boats we have today. And we started to make that run out there in the big lake, and it got big, big, big. And we tore the trolling motor off. We tore the depth finder off. He was trying to run to the power plant, to the west of Henderson Bay down there, another 25, 30. I mean, it's a really long run.
Sure.
Well, it was way too rough to even think about doing that. We barely made it to Chameau Bay, pulled in there, and all we could do was drift around for the day because we had no trolling motor, no electronics. He ripped them all off, tore up. I mean, when I got back at the end of the day, which each of us caught one bass, one little 2-pounder, and that's all we caught. Man, I about wanted to kiss the ground. It was the roughest water I'd ever been in.
Scary. Wow.
And after that, the next 2 days, I went to my fish, just a little short run away from Clayton in a protected bay, caught my, 13 pounds a day of smallmouth. And Ken Cook ended up winning that event with under, 42 pounds or 43 pounds or something like that. I mean,
Kenny Cook.
I was on pace to of the winning fish for that week because it's so windy. And yet never, I got taken out of it early on by that. So that was the lesson that I learned is don't ever let anybody talk you out of, what you've got going for sure. I've heard over the years, in invitationals, I've heard every story there is and seen it all from a lot of people. So, you got to go with what you know. And it taught me a lot right there. And it was a good lesson, one that if I'd have went and won the first BASS tournament I ever fished, geez, things might not have turned out the same. It's real easy to, but it was a, great lesson that served me well going forward.
Sounds like it. And thank you for clarifying, by the way, because I figured something was up because dig this, you come back in 88, right? And you went to Bull Shoals. And
Yeah.
here's a Michigan guy cruises over to Bull Shoals, and you cash your first check right away. 19th, you finish in '88. You bring home $1,300. What'd you spend the $1,300 on? Bass fishing?
Yeah, for sure.
And but get this. This is pretty cool, Kevin, and you may or may not know this, but like this is the dawning of what we bass fishing fans call confident Kevin. You're always confident, and it's something that you carry. It's whether it's an intimidating factor, whether it's 100%. You all the time, it works, and you are confident. Now get this, 88 to 92, all right? 28 tournaments between 88 and 92 for BASS you fished. You know how many times you did not cash a check in those 28 tournaments between 88 and 92?
Man, I don't know.
Slow.
Probably once or twice. I know when I started full time, I did 23 in a row.
Dude, it was so this was 28 tournaments that we counted between 88 and 92. And you've only missed a check twice out of all those. And you won one of them. You won in Georgia. And the one where you missed the check, I think, was Georgia too, ironically. I don't know.
Yeah. Those first few years, I fished a couple events. I really wanted to see just how good Larry Nixon and Danny Brower and Ricky Klon and, Roland and Jimmy. I mean, all those guys were fishing then, and Guido and it was a big learning experience. But what it was, the 90-91 season is when I started full time to fish all the invitationals. And then, I fished all those 6 and won the points and rookie of the year, qualified for the Classic, and then qualified for the BP Top 100s too the following year. And that's when I won in Georgia and was Angler of the Year, really my first full season out there. And 33 years later, so I don't count those early years as because I didn't fish full-time professional. I really count only from 1990 to current day, as being a full-time pro.
Okay.
Because before that, I was working at DNR at my brother's store and just, fished a couple of invitationals and fishing the Federation, fishing, Red Man's. And remember that, the old Red Man tournament trail?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I still have a cool Red Man patch.
It's funny, Ronnie Moore is talking about that, but he wasn't even born then.
He don't know Red Man. He ain't never even chewed no Red Man, Kevin.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, I still have a Red Man patch, man. Red Man tournament trail patch.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw one of those original Red Man Tournament Trail hats recently, and it was pretty epic deal just to see one still out there.
Yeah, man. And
you know who I saw it on, by the way?
No, tell me.
Fat Cat Newton.
Oh, of course. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
He's going to have one.
He won every tournament in that Red Man division, I think, actually.
He knew.
Yeah. Hey, man, look back. I mean, it's crazy. Are those early years though? Are those what you call happy thoughts, Kevin? Are they happy thoughts?
Yeah, I learned so much. I made so many great friends early in my career. Starting back then, that was the age of the original Nitro Pro team when, it was the first team in fishing where everybody had the same look and uniform.
Yep.
All those white Nitros and the vest. I still have. I mean, I have those original. So the vest was the next upgrade from the original bass fishing tournament jumpsuit. Basil
Nice.
Bacon.
Yes.
Still, he showed up at the Hall of Fame a few years back with one of those jumpsuits, and you'll see him in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. But I mean, I had that original vest then, and then after that, it was patches sewn on a shirt. And then we really stepped it up when we went to embroidery on a button up, like Columbia style. I mean, I have a jersey from every single year of my career. My wife has been really good about keeping up with a lot of that stuff. But back in those days, it was Rick Klon and Larry Nixon and Tommy Martin were two great friends of mine that helped me a lot. Denny Brower became a really good friend. His wife Shirley and Sherry were really close.
Sure.
That's where all those relationships started. You spend so much time on the road, that the guys are your friends. And it was different then. I think everybody was even closer together, tighter knit than they are today, just because of the way, it was. You stayed in the same groups of cabins at Lake Gunnersville, or the places that we went. We all kind of stayed at the same motels and things like that. So it was. I have a lot of great memories about
a
it.
Band of gypsies, like a bunch of Bassin gypsies.
Well, yeah, or you can travel in circus, man, carnival.
It really was, man. And did they accept you right away? I mean, I
No.
know.
No, they did. The guys that I was close to, but a lot of the guys from the South really resented me, coming in.
Really?
I was pretty, maybe a little, very confident,
Yeah, confident Kevin.
To them, they probably thought I was arrogant or cocky, but I didn't know any better. I was just really confident, and nobody told me I wasn't supposed to go out and start winning right out of the gate. That's I didn't show up to lose, right? So I definitely got some resentment. But once when you start to get to know people and we spend a little time around, then that changed fairly quickly, anyways.
Yeah, you kind of had that confidence, that BDE right out of the gate. You know what BDE is, Kevin?
I don't know.
It's bass dictated energy, and everything that you ever did out of the gate was bass dictated energy. I mean, and that's where the confidence comes from. You were there, as you said already. Hey, I was there to win. What do you want from me? It's that simple.
Kind of what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, it's that simple. But you know what? I don't think everybody has that attitude, Kevin. I don't think everybody in Bassin has had that.
If you don't believe it in your own mind, if you don't believe you're going to win, you're already done. You have to truly believe in yourself. And I had a lot of people growing up tell me, man, what are you trying to do? A career in bass fishing? You want to be a bass pro? What is that? You can't make any living at that. How you can't be successful at that. And my advice to a lot of these younger kids that are coming up is, if you put the work in and you believe in yourself and you truly believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything you want. And that goes for anything in life. But it definitely was that in bass fishing for me is, I think I, in a lot of ways, changed the sport just from my approach and style and the way that I worked at it. It made people have to work harder, have to do things differently. And it's constantly been that my whole career. The evolution of a bass pro is so much different today than when I started, for sure. There's a lot more that are true professionals.
So when I asked you if they accepted you right away, you adamantly said no. Was that because of you were intimidating? Is it was because you were from the North? Is it you were
it was the North. It was definitely. I can't tell you how many times they call me a Yankee, behind my back or whatever. So yeah, it was. That rivalry was alive and well, for sure.
But Kevin, you had a cool vest and a big tall hat. You weren't a full Yank.
I was back then. Those were when the original trucker hats were cool.
Yes, you were. You're a tall dude as it is, and that hat made you about 7'3" when you were had that deal going.
The foam top Bass Pro Shop Tracker Boats hat.
That's awesome. It's awesome. But that's what it was, huh? It's like, okay, here's a guy from the North that's good. Wait a minute. What's going on here? This is our sport. This is a Southern sport. Was that what was happening?
Yeah, it was. There was hardly anybody that had much success from anywhere in the Northern tier in the sport of bass fishing at that time. Joe Thomas won the Red Man All-American, and he was an Ohio guy, but from Michigan, where I was from there was only one or two pros that had even ever.
I think
been
Al
to the
Linder
Bassmaster
won one
Classic.
too, and that
Yeah.
was, I mean, back then in the day, and that was it. And then it was you, and then Iconelli came along.
Yeah. Well, I actually drew Iconelli in his first event, it was an invitational, and he told me, he said, "Man, you're one of the reasons that I'm even out here, because I saw that, hey, you're from the north, you're from, you made it happen, you did this." So I mean, there's a guy right there that started from the very beginning just with nothing more than passion, right? That's the Iconelli way, that's his whole story. Is he didn't have the equipment, didn't have the money, just not like any of us did, I mean, I started my first year with my life savings just to be able to fund a season on the circuit.
Sure.
I'd worked every year and all summer long, and my dad's construction business, to come up with enough money so I didn't have to sleep in my truck, and knew that I could practice. Nobody paid my way or did, I didn't have no free lunch or anything like that. So it was all on me and on my dime. And, you take it pretty dang seriously when you're writing checks that you don't have a lot of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's crazy that Ike drew you on his first event. You guys shared a boat then, and then you shared a community hole again further down in your career, didn't you? The old community.
Oh, we've been around each other for a long time. It's interesting because he's one of the few guys that fishes similarly to my style. Or it's very funny how he changed over his career. Originally, when Mike came in, he was very much like me. Power fisherman, fish fast, cover water, super efficient in the boat, no wasted casts, no time, things like that. And later in his career, he became much more versatile and a lot more, very much a finesse fisherman too. Still fish fast, but was not scared to throw a Tokyo rig or a Nico rig or a drop shot or a Cinco or finesse bait and fish slow too. And I learned that to some degree, but I just not to the level that some guys do to this day for sure.
Yeah, and we've seen you win with spin poles, but it always seems kind of awkward for you, Kev. Even though, I mean, you're just more.
I'm the most comfortable. You give me a crankbait or spinner bait, jerk bait, fish fast. Let me make them react. That's my.
That's
style.
the Kevin
That's
we love.
MO.
Yeah, that's the Kevin we love. Now get this, for all those that doubted you 33 years ago, when you came in, get these stats. This was the final probing that we did with Ronnie Moore here. Now, Kevin, this is your BASS career. Now, overall, you're $7 million plus out of all tours events over your career. 7 million plus. It's over 7. It could be 8. It could be 20. I don't know. All right, but it's a lot, Kevin. It's a lot, and everybody likes to count Bass Pro's money. You know that, right? Professional bass anglers, all us fans, we like to count it. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm making sure you're with me. I didn't know. Okay. Now listen to this. In BASS, you have won $6,447,476. It's a lot of money, Kevin. Now, this is what's pretty cool. In your BASS career, you've caught 11,857 pounds of bass, bud. 11,000. Imagine that in the nitro. 11,857 pounds of bass. Now, our producer here, the Ginger Ninja, he's got some calculations that he did. He's a brainiac, and he figured this out. Now, per pound. Tell him, Ginge. Tell him what he's working with here.
All right, Kevin, I got two stats for you. I got per pound and per derb.
Per pound.
So per pound. Now, this is the highest we've by far.
Each bass that you have caught is worth this much money per pound.
Per pound of bass you've caught is $543.77.
Oh, my goodness. $543 a pound every bass you have caught in your BASS career. That's insane, dude. Insane.
Well, it's a good thing that you can't go out and sell them for that because we wouldn't be practicing catch and release anymore.
Wow, that's an interesting take. $543, dude. That's what else you got, Ginge?
So per derb, so every derb that you fished, you on an average caught or cashed $20,533.36.
Every tournament. Give it up for that. Those are the best stats ever on the Straight Cast Show for a professional angler. 20K a derb you average. What?
Yeah, that's not too bad, and that's before entry fees were so expensive too, man.
Right. But I mean, wow. I mean, over 33 years, $20,000 a tournament. Kevin, come on, dude. That's crazy talk.
I don't know why I retired from tournaments then, man.
I
That's
know.
Pretty good. Top that.
I says getting sillier as we go. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, so just we'll get over this. But I want to talk more about this confidence thing. All right, like were you confident as a kid? Like, were you always confident?
I don't think so. You know, I mean, just I don't know. I played baseball when I was growing up, and
okay,
I was pretty good at that too. I wasn't. I didn't excel like I ended up in fishing, I guess. So thankfully, I didn't focus on my baseball career instead of my fishing career. But
what'd you play in baseball? What was your
man? I played a lot, but a lot of shortstop.
Oh wow,
pitcher.
Okay,
I pitched shortstop. I ended up playing basically everything but catcher and first base for the most part.
Interesting. Okay,
so
Kevin the baller.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like baseball a lot, but I had it out with my sophomore high school baseball coach over fishing, spending too much time fishing, and quit baseball my sophomore year.
That makes sense. So the confidence, I mean, you had enough confidence.
It runs in our family. I think it's my mom. You know, she's very strong-minded person to begin with, and you know, I look across our family, and we're all very competitive too.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't matter if we're playing cards or, you know, lawn darts or whatever it is.
Lawn darts, jarts. That's awesome. You know how dangerous jarts is,
anything
Kevin?
We do as a family, it's my sisters, my brother. Yeah, we're very competitive.
And it's so. Put it this way: what was your first BMC victory? Was what, 2001, right?
Yep.
2001.
Yep. Yeah.
Were you beaming with confidence prior to that event? Had Kevin VanDam reached the confident level there, like as opposed to let's say? Go ahead.
That was the Classic was a tough one for me to win my first one. I think, God, I think that was my 11th or something at the time before I won one. And the late Tim Tucker was always, and he's the guy that basically termed me the KVD too. I mean, he's the original Bassmaster senior writer.
Yeah.
And
Tim Tucker.
He's like, I'd hear it every year. So, Kevin VanDam might be the best angler to never win the Classic, right?
Oh, Lord.
And I've heard that time and time again. And gosh, not that I didn't give it my all every single year, because you do. And as a competitor, I never really let that bother me but you can't help but not think about it at times. And going in that year, I had no idea or no, premonition that I was on the right kind of fish to win. It really didn't even hit me until after the second day that I'd have a chance to win. And throughout my whole career too, there's a lot of things the media say or fans will say, and especially nowadays with social media, you just, it's like, shoot, later in my BASS career, I think it was like after I'd won a couple of Classics back to back and 4 straight Angler of the Years, in 2010, 11, 12, that time zone.
Yeah.
I didn't win a tournament for 4 or 5 years. It's like, shoot, is KVD done? Is it? And in my mind, I was still competing at the high level and making the right decisions, and just things didn't come together. And then, gosh, I racked off a handful, a slew of wins there, kind of in a short time period again over the next few years, and kind of silence some of that talk. But I mean, that's the fun thing as sports fans that people like to do is I always laughed about
you stifled the talk, didn't you, Kevin?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always laughed about the who's the greatest angler of all time debate. I mean, I don't want to get involved in that, but it's the same in baseball. Who's the best baseball player of all times? And in every era,
Satchel Paige.
Yeah. I mean, in every era, there's a different guy, whether it's the NFL or whatever, whatever it is. But I just, in the 33 years that I did it, I tried to do it at a very high level and do it with integrity and respect the guys that I competed against. And was the most important thing to me.
Nice. And I like that you kept that integrity about you too throughout the career. Let me ask you this.
That's hard to find these days, isn't it?
It is. Hey, for bass fishing fans, one of the coolest classics, or two of the coolest classics to watch, were your victories on Lay Lake, and then your second victory in New Orleans. And what's that, Ginge? Oh, sorry. Okay. So in your second victory, so they're both winding tournaments, and they were super exciting to watch. Now, the first one was the Red Eye Shad tournament, the Red Eye Shad, and what was the other bait? It was like a ball. It was the Strike King Custom Shop bait, right? That was the Lay Lake baits.
Yeah. It's pretty much a Red Eye Shad. I caught almost everything on that in that tournament, and then this caught him on a spinnerbait to start the one in New Orleans, and then finished out with a square bill, and
because they were nipping the spinnerbait, right? They were bumping the spinnerbait, so you went to the crankbait with the treble hooks.
Your memory's still pretty dang good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it comes. I'm like, I got Rain Man stuff, but it just happens. It happens to me. Now, they were both fun to watch. They were fun to watch, Kevin. Which one was your favorite fishing event? Which one of those victories, 10 or 11?
I think the last one, and it was because, going into the last day, I had, a little bit of a lead, but it was so unique because I was fishing around the guys that were right next, that were close to me. So Aaron Martins was right there.
Yep.
Scott Rook was right there. All the guys that were in contention were around me. And I saw what was going down. And I mean, man, it didn't take me long that day before I had 25 plus pounds in the box. And I knew that somebody'd have to catch, 35 or more to beat me. And there's no score tracker. There's no, Bass Track. There's no anything at this point. So your family has no idea what you've got. My wife's just sitting back there at the hotel or at the Superdome getting ready for the weigh-in, just wondering, nervous as heck, is it going to fall apart or whatever. So in my mind, knowing that after what I seen out there, because you don't know what other people's got, we're not weighing them or anything like that, but I knew what the other guys had. I kind of felt in my head that before I went into that weigh-in, I knew that I had the winning fish in the box, right?
Awesome.
So having that in my back pocket and being able to come in and see my family in the stands and watch their reaction with my kids, they're pretty young still then as well, but they're old enough to where they understood what was going on. Because your family sacrifices a ton.
Sure.
While you're on the road. So being able to witness that and be able to do that for them, and not just my wife and kids, but I mean, my whole family, my mom, my dad, brothers and sisters, and a lot of close friends and stuff, were there for that. So to see that group and to be able to bring that home for them, that's still one of the most memorable experiences I've had in bass fishing.
That's awesome. And I mean, just the total combo platter. Everything came together and beautiful for the fans to watch as well. Who doesn't like to crank a bunch of stumps? You know what I mean? That's bassin', KVD.
And catch big ones.
Yeah, and catch big ones. And manhandle them. You were just bear pawing them, bro. Bear pawing them.
It was a pretty special. But listen, every tournament I've ever won has been. I mean, the Pittsburgh Classic, which is the lowest winning weight in any classic in history of the Bassmaster Classic, that was probably one of the most intense and one of the coolest for the fans. I've had just literally hundreds and hundreds of fans over the years tell me, just because it was so tight and
it drove us bonkers. It literally did drive us bonkers, Kevin. It's like
catching, under 1 pound. I mean, I weighed in a limit that weighed under 5 pounds, during that event right there. So, I mean, it was 12 pounds and something for 3 days.
I felt watching
just the pressure,
Yeah, that event was intense. It was like I felt the intensity of like watching the Chicago Bears fail every week. It's like that anxiety was with me in that event.
It's a bad year to be a Bears fan, isn't it?
Kevin, it's always a bad year to be a Bears fan.
No, you've had some good years.
86, yay!
I'm a Lions fan.
Yeah, I know.
Huge Lions fan.
I know.
And last week was brutal. It was a big reality check for us Lions fans for sure. But we got a good team this year. There's no doubt. But man, I've lived it a long time. But I'm still optimistic.
Yeah, I even see you trying to persuade Zona over to the Lions side.
Oh, listen, he just whenever the Bears play, whatever day it is on, he is. You don't want to be around him. He is disgusted. He's the most passionate Bears fan that I've ever seen.
It's tough.
And boy, right now he's hating life.
Yeah, there's years of therapy involved all over the region here in the Chicagoland area because of the monsters of the Midway. Just but enough about that, Kevin. Let's get back to bass fishing in life. I want to get deep. Let's get deep right now, okay? And I want to tell you a quote that you said. And I believe it was your 2016 victory, one of the gazillion of them that year on Toledo Bend, I believe. And do you remember what you said during that event? I believe it was on stage, or maybe it was right before you weighed in, and you had a very prophetic quote.
Gosh. You got me on that. That the most memorable thing about that tournament, to be honest with you, that is the one that I think I turned it around after not winning for 4 or 5 years to win that event. But the thing that I remember the most is getting a Mustad thing 3/0 treble hook and a 10XD in my hand.
That's why you're a badass.
And having to get my camera guy to come and do the braided line trick to jerk it out on camera.
Yeah, it was amazing. We posted that clip on the Straightcast Facebook page, I think, yesterday. And, I mean, it shows. I don't know how you didn't swear on camera, first of all. You said, "Oh, freak," or something, or "golly bum." I don't even know what you said, Kevin, but it was properly. But and then you ripped the 2/0 treble out with the braid trick gracefully, and then just continued to smash bigs.
Put the same hook back on the crankbait.
KVD bleeding Mustad with the KVD meat scent. That's what you said.
It was working. So anyways, not to sidetrack you, but I'm kind of curious to see what my quote was too.
Here's what you said. I want you to see if you remember this. And you said, the older you get in bass fishing, the harder it is to keep an open mind. The older you get in bass fishing, the harder it is to keep an open mind. Do you remember saying that, Kevin?
Yeah, I fight it all the time. The more that you visit these same lakes, the past always, you think about it. Like Gunnersville is one that it really hit me this year on the Bass Pro Tour event that we had there. I mean, I fished at Gunnersville a lot of times over my career, a lot of times, and had a lot of success there. And you just have all these memories and all this history. And you got to be able, just like you got to fish the current conditions, and you got to fish, in that moment to be successful. And I got caught up in that again, and I know better. And yet you still, sometimes you can't keep yourself from doing it. So
happens to everybody, don't it? Whether you're a pro angler,
it's a humbling sport.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you, I'll give you another big prophetic quote right here.
Okay.
In bass fishing,
yeah,
as a tournament angler, you are going to lose a lot more than you're ever going to win. So you better get used to it and be able to handle it.
Facts. That was a prophetic quote from KVD, no doubt about it. But you've always been one, though, that seems to, I don't know, embrace change or embrace technology. Now, true or false? Here's an observation that I have made as a bass fishing fan. Okay, there's 3 things, in my opinion, as a bass fishing fan, that has separated you and put you above other anglers. Okay? Here's the 3, in my opinion, Kevin. The first off is the grasping the technology of mapping. You were one of the first guys to really embrace it to its full, and really study maps and put them into play in conjunction with side imaging. All right?
Yep.
There's 2. Third thing is your ability to make more casts, better casts, and more efficient casts than the other anglers on the tour. I think those 3 things, and again, my opinion, I'm just a bass fishing talk show host, but I think those separated you from the pack. Oh, and the confidence. Let's call it 4.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that mapping, I was a map junkie from the early days. I would always buy the best paper maps that you could get. When you go to the Tennessee River, that means you had to get those, Corps of Engineer TVA chart maps, and they're expensive to get them to cover the whole Lake Guntersville. I still have them all in my file upstairs. So, but when Lake Master started mapping these places, especially the Tennessee River, that's when it all, that really came together for me. And side imaging too.
Yeah.
It just, instead of graphing around and seeing, a small, 5-foot cone underneath the boat, being able to see, 75 feet to the left and to the right, just made that search so much more efficient for that summertime period, especially. And, I use that to my advantage a bunch of times.
You
on
exploited
Guntersville,
it. You
Kentucky Lake,
exploited it.
Up and down the Tennessee River, and even up north, wherever. It didn't really matter. But I've always had the mentality of efficiency, making quality casts, boat control, angle, keeping your bait in the strike zone for the, fishing parallel instead of casting to the bank, whatever you have to do to keep that bait in the strike zone and in the water more. That's just, mathematics right there working for you.
Yeah, but why was nobody else figuring that out? Especially the casting thing. I mean, it just seems you were the first rapid fire guy. You fine-tuned the equipment. You found the equipment that worked for you, perfectly for you, and you used it to your advantage, whether it was your crankbait rod, your spinnerbait rod, your jerkbait rod, your jig rod, whatever. Every single one of them, you fine-tuned them to make the most casts you could, and henceforth put more fish in the boat. Put your bait in front of more fish.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to it's what gave me confidence. It helped, would help build that confidence when if you're getting a positive reinforcement every now and then when you're going down the bank, rapid firing like that. And all of a sudden, the lay down that you just banged the spinnerbait off of, you got a bite on, we want to duplicate that. I want to do that again and again and again. So instead of wasting all that time fishing slow in between, you speed up and just hit the key targets. And that's what it's all about on a big body of water that you can run a pattern on. That's how you're going to be, especially multi-day events. A one-day tournament, anybody can, have a great day and do it. But when you're talking 4-day events, it takes, the longer they are, the less luck is involved and less good fortune. I never like the word luck at all.
It
don't believe in luck.
I hear you. Well, it's where preparation meets Velcro shoes or something.
Yeah. Well, hey, the harder I work, the luckier I got. No
That's
doubt.
right. 100%, Kevin. Ain't no doubt about it. I think that as you went along in your career, that again your efficiency was all based on eliminating luck. Like you were one of the first guys that like we're talking about the controllable variables, and we're like, what in WTF is this guy talking about? You know what I mean? But you were on everything, man. You were like sharp hooks, right line, right, controllable variables.
It still amazes me to this day. Top pros out there that don't. I just miss a lot of the little things like that. You're exactly Pat. You're a big time student of the sport. Has anybody ever told you that?
They have actually, yes.
So
I'm a geek.
Ronnie Moore, he ain't got anything on you. I mean, you don't. It's all about the little things.
Ronnie's the
best
youngin.
anglers that I've ever been around. Their awareness and perception skills are next level. I mean, that's the difference. I saw that in Larry Nixon from a very, very, early in our friendship. I saw that in him. I saw that in Denny Brower. I mean, the Rick Clun the same way. I mean, he didn't miss the little things at all. And, their perception skills were just amazing. And it's really interesting to me how many people that are in this sport that are really good at it are also that they hunt a lot. Because I think if you're a good hunter, those are the things you look for, those little cues in nature and those little differences of, subtle change in the wind or being aware that, hey, man, the sun just went behind the clouds or the wind shifted directions or, that there's a seagull diving halfway across the lake and there's a, blue heron in the back of a cove and not on a point. And, just little things that give you clues to tune you into what the bass are doing, because, until we had live sonar, all we're doing out there is making a lot of educated guesses.
Yeah.
And trying to put together a pattern, following the seasonal pattern, looking at the water clarity and the cover and the time of the year and temperature, putting all, as many different variables as you can to figure out that puzzle of something that in most cases you can't see. You can't see them with your eyes. You don't see them with your sonar. I mean, you're basically throwing darts, and the more darts you throw in the dark, the closer you get to that bullseye.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the intrigue for me. That's what I've always loved about competitive bass fishing.
Yeah, and I'm sick of this forward facing stuff. I mean, I everything is I just don't like to talk about it. I don't care about it. It's if pros got to use it to catch fish and that's the deal, that's the deal. But you kind of said something I've been thinking, and you're making a bunch of casts in the dark, with the hopes of hitting them on the head. Now, will there ever be a day in bass fishing where you have two breeds of bass fishermen that are able to simultaneously compete against each other? Like, Kevin, almost like a Jedi's. And, the Jedi's will be the guys without the forward facing. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are controlling the variables, running down, making the zillion casts. And then there's the other guys that are the forward facers. They got the, I don't know. They're on autopilot. What's the deal? Will there be a day where they both can simultaneously compete against each other, Kevin?
Well, you're crazy right now if you are going to compete and think that you're not going to use forward-facing sonar, right? Because it's not. What it bothers me about it more than anything is it takes all the the instinctual stuff that you have to learn or figure out a way in a lot of cases. There's guys that are really successful with it that don't do anything but troll around looking for a fish, and you can get away with that in a lot of places and a lot of lakes. But gosh dang, you get a big drastic change. You go to Bugs Island in the spring, and all of a sudden, the day before the tournament comes, you get a big rain and the lake jumps up 3 feet overnight into the bushes. See where you get with your forward facing sonar.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you much. And the schedule of the tours is a big fault of that, of all the negativity for forward facing sonar. It wouldn't be as much of a factor in a lot of the tournaments. I mean, smallmouth, for one, are definitely super susceptible to it because they're so curious about noise and being around boats anyways, that they're just not going to hide from it. But
yeah,
you go to some of these other lakes too. I mean, if we timed it a little better, things like that, it wouldn't make it. And I get it. It's boring for fans to watch people staring at a screen, standing around, going back and forth. And even if you watch it, and believe me, I've got 5 graphs on my Z21 right now. I mean,
Nice.
I've got 3 on the bow and 2 on the console. I've got Mega 360. I've got Mega Live. I've got side imaging. I've got down imaging. I've got Lake Master mapping. I've got all the tools there. And it's neat to be able to see one on Mega Live, make a cast over to it, watch them react to your bait, see that you got to twitch your jerk bait a little bit differently to maybe get them to commit fully. It's really cool to connect the dots, but gosh, after you've watched it a few times, it's not that cool to watch anymore. It's not the same as going to, a tournament in La Crosse, Wisconsin, where you're buzzing a swim jig through the pads or a frog, and it's just exciting to watch,
Right. No,
that kind of fishing, where chasing a smallmouth around on forward facing sonar on Lake St. Clair with 6-pound line and fighting it for 20 minutes to get it in the boat. It's not that much. I mean, it was cool the first time, but it's just not anymore. So as a sport, that's something that we've got to figure out for competitive fishing. And, what truly makes a pro angler, and, what we should be allowing as far as having a level playing field. I mean, there's guys on the Elite Series now that have 5 and 6 live sonar transducers on their boat.
That's a lot.
And when you're running saltwater live transducers, I mean, they're seeing fish at 200, 300 feet, and that's not. I don't know if that's very fair or a level field where just technology changes the game. I mean, on the PGA Tour, you can't just use any golf ball, right? In Major League Baseball, they took away aluminum bats for a reason, right? They make the ball a certain way, and in fishing, like in hunting, you can't use an airplane to hunt deer or grizzly bear or caribou or moose or anything like that, or a
spotlight
drone.
deer.
And yet, in fishing, that's exactly what we're doing now. So at some point, we've got to figure out a happy medium. I love technology, and all I want to do is help people be more successful. I mean, that's what I do as a pro angler, as an ambassador, as an influencer. Is I want to teach people, I want to help people have a better day on the water, be more successful, to learn how to, a new technique, how to fish a square bill or a drop shot or whatever it is, to have a better time out on the water. But as a tournament competitor, we've had all these rules. We talk about no information, and you can't get help, and no waypoints and things like that, because we all want to level. We want to start on the same level platform. And I guess
In a perfect world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, but so I think you're going to see some changes in the sport going forward, on the technology front, on what's going to be, or I hope we do anyways, because
Okay.
it's right now it's, the space race is getting heated. That's for sure.
I see that, and I kind of detected an anti-forward facing tone from you. Is that the correct way to put it? I mean, you embrace technology, but you didn't, in your tone, you didn't seem to be too happy with forward facing.
Well, it's not that it has changed everything that I know and learned in 33 years of competitive fishing. I mean, I've always believed that bass relate to, they may not always relate to cover, but I always believe they related to some kind of structure or depth change. I mean, they do swim around in the open some if they're following pods of bait here and there and that. Well, there are so many bass that just randomly swim around out in Nowhereville in lakes that none of us ever knew that. And you get the real-time feedback to your presentation with live sonar. And that's super cool. I mean, it has taught me so much. I mean, in the last 3 or 4 years, I think I'm learning as much or more than I ever have in fishing out there on the water. And technology has been a big part of that. And the other side of it is where do you draw the line? I mean, what about side imaging? What about Mega 360? What about Lake Master mapping? I mean, Lake Master mapping to me is a weapon. Yeah. I mean, I've made as much or more money off of, detailed mapping as anything else because I know how to utilize it. I mean, a lot of people don't, but I know how to use it. If I can find them in one area on a certain type of structure, depth change, I can use that Lake Master mapping to find a lot of other spots for it. I mean, that tournament I won at Toledo Bend, 1,000% I won that with Lake Master mapping. I would pull up and make a cast with a 10XD and not even look at my depth finder, just looking at the mapping.
Really?
And I dominated that tournament with that. But that's not the same as, seeing the fish for real, seeing how they're reacting to your bait, with live sonar. And the fan base is the one that's going to really dictate what is acceptable and what's not. And they seem to be, showing their displeasure. Yeah. And
it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird time in Bassin right now.
It is. There's a lot of crazy things going on right now, man. I mean, the between forward facing sonar, integrity, changing technology, it's just there's a lot of it's definitely strange. So I mean, it's a great time for me to be making the transition to being a television personality. I can tell you that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Making transitions, chameleonizing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Kevin. It's a weird time. It's a weird time in bass fishing. That's for sure. But hey, we just all got to remember that, like your buddy Mark Zona says, we're here because of a fish. You know what I mean? That's why we're here, dude. Like
we all have the same passion for that little green or brown dude out there. I mean, it's what got me into it when I was a kid, and I still love it. I love catching them. But man, I love figuring out the puzzle. Me, that is the ultimate. It's still to this day, it's figuring out what it takes on any given day to get them to bite, or to find them and to get them to bite. That once I start that rush kind of, it tapers down.
There ain't nothing like it. That's the enjoyable part right there. Yeah. Wait, what was your most enjoyable year in BASS? What was your most enjoyable year?
Oh man, all of them,
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really isolate one over another. I just, the thing about it for me is I just, for so many years, I just got so just basically focused or just enthralled. I mean, just immersed myself in the tournaments, just trying to win Angler of the Year every year, right? Trying to win every event. And it wasn't that way from the beginning. It took me a little while to get in that mode to build my confidence to where I felt like, man, if I'm not going out and trying to win every single time, truly doing what I need to do, taking the risks, taking the chances to try to put yourself in position to win, I'm doing myself a disservice. So for a long time, I got so caught up into the competition that you don't kind of sit back and you don't really appreciate or enjoy the ride along the way. And that's something that I learned later in my career to do is you never know when it's going to be your last win, right?
Okay.
So when you get that opportunity to truly cherish that moment and enjoy the experience and just reflect a little bit on it, because it's so hard. It's so hard to win. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have been in the sport for a long time that have had very few opportunities to even be in contention to win a tournament, or only won a handful of them. And, I've been fortunate to win a lot of them and win a lot of titles along the way. And so that's the one big thing is, I look back at it now and it means a lot. I mean, you look behind me, that's something my wife put together there. Those are a bunch, all different magazine covers, and a lot of them are
Awesome.
different wins and things like that. So I go through and she's really good about that too. I've got a lot of trophies, trophy case and stuff like that. And I really don't have room for all of back in the day, you used to get a trophy for every top 50 finish in the invitationals,
Wow.
So boxes and boxes of those, whatever, 34th place and 18th place and
Yikes.
different things like that. So, but when you look through them and that, I can go through and look at every single one of those. And, we did that a few years ago. I had to move a bunch of stuff, and I looked at a bunch of these old trophies and a lot of old photos and things like that. And it just brings back so many great memories. And, I can't remember somebody's name 10 minutes later, but man, I can remember the tournament, the dang stump that I caught one off of with the lure that it was, the color, everything. I mean, like, I have a photographic memory for some of these tournaments, and that's what gets you in trouble as a competitor. After you do that so many times on the same body of water, it's like, dang, I know I'm going to go over here. There's these three little stumps off this point that I've caught those big ones on before. And it's easy to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and all that you described there, it actually kind of sounds exhausting. Like a win is exhausting, isn't it, for a tournament angler? By the time, everybody we've ever interviewed, it seems by the time they've finally won, they're exhausted.
Yeah, you do. You put it all out there, no doubt. It is.
It's like a marathon runner.
That's the one thing. I've been fortunate to get to know a lot of people in professional sports, in other venues, and what we do is it's not it's not as tough as an NFL player, but it's tough in its own way, because especially you go and fish back-to-back events, where you're 3 days of practice, 4 days of competition, drive 12 hours to the next one and do it all over again the following week. And it's a grind. And so when you fish with these guys and they go, man, I don't know how you go at that pace from dark to dark, like we do. And it's like, man, it's what we train to do. So, I've done it for 33 years, at a high level. And I just wanted to, people ask me why you retiring. It's not because I don't feel I'm competitive or I've lost my edge or I'm hurt or anything like that. It's just like the biggest reason for me is I've watched a lot of people in all sports, stay too long. And, I didn't want to have my time picked for me. I wanted to be able to pick my time. And
okay,
for me, what I'm going to be doing going forward, doing a lot of filming and television show and all of that. I get that same thrill of competition out of that. I told you I love figuring it out. Well,
yeah.
That's what you got to do. When you got a crew out there on the water with you and they're on your dime, the clock's ticking, right?
Oh yeah.
And you got to make it happen.
It's up to you.
I think that's, Zona's a great friend of mine, and that's why Zona doesn't miss tournament fishing, because that's his tournament. doing his television show.
Oh yeah, that's his baby. That's his
Doing
baby.
a Zone Alive. You want to talk about pressure? Zone Alive is, I mean, when you got a small window to perform, and you're doing a Zone Alive, you got to catch them. Otherwise, you're gonna lose viewers.
You
right?
better go to
I mean,
Manderchuck.
Yeah, that's why you. I mean, that's one of the greatest episode. That's the
Ever.
all-time episode I think that he's
Ever.
ever done.
You guys are beasts.
It was ridiculous. It just moved, everything lined up perfect, and we got lucky, but
It's kismet.
yeah, we.
Hey, what's the most important bite of your career, Kevin? The most important bite you have ever
Oh, my
had
gosh.
the most important strike of your career.
It probably there's lots of them, right?
There's got to be a real important one.
The fifth fish on the final day of my first Bassmaster Classic win in New Orleans. I was making a really long run, flipping those wellheads with a Straight King black and blue jig for the most part. And I mean, it was hard to get bites then. That place was, I think the virus had hit it or something. That's why it was so tough. But I knew I needed a limit at least to have a chance to win. And boy, late in the day with really only about 30 minutes before I had to make that really long run back, to New Orleans from Bayou Black, I caught that fifth, and it wasn't a big one, man. It was maybe 1.25 pounds, but it was a keeper, and it gave me my fifth one, and I didn't end up getting any more bites, and I made that run in, and I've never won the Classic, mind you, right?
Yep, yeah.
And that's a long drive, an hour and a half, whatever, run one direction, thinking the whole way, man, am I going to let my family down again? I'm leading going into that day, and is it I didn't catch them real good? Is it like just the wonder, not knowing right there? So, and it was pretty dang close. I ended up finishing second to Scott Rook there.
Yeah, Scott Rook. Yep.
And David Walker was, he was right there, behind me, and they thought he was gonna. They thought he had enough to beat me, and I ended up just barely overtaking Scott to win the Classic right there. And I mean, who knows? You don't win that first Classic, maybe you don't win the next one.
Right.
That was a key.
That was the bite.
I can think back to lots of them.
Yeah, that was an important one. No doubt about it. Hey, when you were a little boy, you used to read Bassmaster. I sure did. Like I sure used to just wait for that thing. Being a Yankee like you know what I mean?
Oh my God, no. So I read every one cover to cover. So before that, even, my big thing was being able to watch the very first few fishing shows. I mean, we just didn't.
Yes.
We had like 4 channels, right? So
Us
the
too.
only fishing show that even aired on our television anywhere was Virgil Ward's Championship Fishing.
Oh yeah, Virgil's show. Heck yeah, Kevin.
I mean, that was the first show that I ever watched. But yeah, no, once I got into it, I mean, we didn't have DVRs or anything. I mean, you'd look forward to that Sunday block, on TNN with Bassmasters and Hank Parker and Bill Dance and Roland Martin and Jimmy Houston.
Dude, I had the 6-hour
and,
VHSs. The 6-hour VHS tapes, Kevin.
Well, we didn't, do that, but yeah, I mean, no, I've been a huge Bassmaster fan. Bassmaster magazine is that's all we had. We didn't have, you couldn't pull up your phone like this and watch a YouTube video on how to throw a drop shot. All we had was Bassmaster magazine. I mean, there was other magazines.
Bassin. There was Bassin. Remember? Bassin. That was a good one.
Yeah, but that was much later.
Yeah. Was it?
In fishing was out there, but they would have one article on bass fishing, and then it'd be walleye and the other things. And I'm not knocking them because they had great content too. But Bassmaster that's the Bible, right?
100%.
That's what you grew up with, and the television show, really was the same thing, in that time frame. But it's interesting now for me to look at it. And it's just the way that people consume media, and now is like the magazine is a shadow of its former self, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, that you don't see that super detailed, in-depth content like you used to there. I mean,
I lost myself in those magazines. Like in the winter, like I would be like with Harry and Charlie in Swamp Gas Corners, if you know what I mean.
Harry and Charlie was, one of the greatest deals. And and I mean, my memories of the Bassmasters TV show are so good too. But when you go back and look at those old episodes, they weren't that good. You didn't see many fish catches, and the film crew wasn't very good. I mean, I was part of some of those early ones, so I mean, at the time it was exceptionally the best out there. But compared to the coverage they do these days now, I mean,
crazy.
Now you watch everything live, right? You see it real time. You can see exactly how whatever pro is there, as how he's turning his reel handle and what he's seeing on his depth finder. And I mean, the coverage is unbelievable now compared to what the original show was. But
it's insane.
In my mind, it was everything.
Me too. Hey, when you were a little guy, who did you use to pretend to be when you were out there fishing? Like, you're on the water. Who was a young KVD pretending to be? What Bass Pro?
I never really picked one per se, but I definitely modeled myself growing up. I mean, I watched all those guys on TV. I mean, as a high school freshman, I wrote a term paper in English class off of Roland Martin's 101 Bass Catching Secrets.
That's one of my favorite books ever, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, I got an A+ on it because, and I was not a good English student at all. So I mean,
the Sculpin Minnow chapter is amazing, and so is the Bullhead Minnow for spawning bass chapter.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, Roland was way ahead of his time, for sure in a lot of ways. And I mean, I looked up to those guys, and I can tell you the first time at DNR, in the very beginning when we brought in pros, and this was just before I was going to start my BASS career, just starting to fish those tournaments, we had Larry Nixon come at the store.
You were loving it, dude.
I was so nervous and put him on such a pedestal. I was too afraid to go up and say hi to him. I couldn't even talk to him. And my team partner at the time, Don Stevens, he's like, hey, and so he just made me go and introduced me to him, and he said, hey, this kid right here, he's coming out there, and he's gonna beat your ass out there on the circuit.
Wow.
And I was so freaking embarrassed, I couldn't even stand it. And to this day, Larry thinks that it was me saying it, but it was actually Don at the time. And it really man, I couldn't shake his hand. I couldn't even be around him. And it's funny. So it's funny to me now when I see kids that act shy when they come up to meet you or whatever. And it's neat that I've been able to have an impact on the sport and on people. It's humbling. It's flattering. And because those guys did to me, I mean, without fail, with all of them. I mean, it was Tommy Martin was the same way to me. Larry Nixon, Danny Brower,
and you're a blue coat now. You're a blue coat right with them. You're a blue coat.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, for me, is in life, a lot of times you don't want to meet your heroes because they're going to disappoint you. But in fishing, my heroes didn't disappoint me at all.
Good.
I mean, without fail, those guys were super nice to me. They treated me, with great respect. And, it wasn't that way for me. And I had a really tough experience with my dad at a Tigers game when I was a kid. I mean, I told you I was big into baseball.
Yeah.
He took me, just me. I've got two brothers and two sisters, and he took me to a day to Tiger Stadium for a doubleheader, watched two games. And after the first game, the Tigers won the first game. And I don't remember, I think they were playing the Cleveland Indians. And after the first game, there was a couple players out on the field, out near the outfield, kind of warming up, getting ready for the second game. And my dad had bought me a ball, it was super cool. I got a hat and everything. and it was just us there. There was nobody else around. And he tried to get them to come over and sign my ball. And they said, no, we can't do it. Don't have time. And man, it just broke my heart that I couldn't get that ball signed. And I just have always remembered that. So it's meant a lot to me over the years that people are fans of mine and that they appreciate what I do. And so, I've always tried to stay after weigh-ins and things to sign everybody's autograph. And
notice that about you. Yeah.
Over the years, have I made everybody happy? I'm sure not, but boy, I sure have really tried hard to do a good job for the sport and for my fan base there, because I know how it feels.
Wow. And I like how, I don't know if I should say I like how you said it, but you said I had a tough experience as a kid. And that is, especially imagine going up to one of your heroes and they're like, get away, kid, you bother me. You know what I mean? Like, that's a tough one, dude.
Well, I get it. People are, it's challenging. I know I've met a lot of famous people and a lot of celebrities, and I've been around a lot of people. And that's why the guys that I see that do it right. And pretty much, a lot of them, they are self-made people, that came up the hard way. And, whether it's a professional athlete or a race car driver or, country music, like Luke Bryan is a great friend of mine, passionate bass fisherman. And man, I've seen a lot of the things that he's done for people that he don't have to. He didn't have to do that. He doesn't, have to go above and beyond. But I've just seen how he is. I've seen the same thing with Tony Stewart. Tony's a guy I've known in NASCAR for a really long time, and same thing. Dale Jr. I've seen him do things too. And they get pulled a million ways. And there's a lot of times where they can't make everybody happy, right? But there's a lot of times they do. And it shows when you're around people in a real world setting, how they act around their fans.
Yeah. And that's very admirable when you see events and see professionals at events that take the extra time. Iaconelli does it too. We talked about that with him.
Yeah, no, I can tell you and he'll tell you the same thing. There's been many a time after a weigh-in where him and I are the last two guys standing there at the fence signing autographs.
I've seen it.
And that was one of the big things. I'm on the board of the Hall of Fame, and that was one of the big things that, it's not just your fishing career, but it's what you do outside of fishing, and, what he's done with his foundation and for, youth fishing initiatives, getting kids involved in it. And that, he doesn't just talk the talk. I've seen him walk the walk plenty of times. So we've had many a late evening after a weigh-in, standing around there together, taking care of fans.
Well, let me give you an example of one I witnessed. Kokomo, Indiana. Okay? You guys were at a Bass University. You were sick as could be. And you were battling some kind of bug. All right? And you guys still stayed till the end of it, signing autographs. But then one of the coolest things I ever saw in my life is you had a personal beer caddy. It was it was Mike Reed from Bass U, military guy. You remember Mikey?
Oh yeah.
Mikey was your
man. We have so many original Bass University stories from the Gary White days. It's crazy travel trips and that. Those were some hectic schedules. So those are the days we really worked. I remember my first year after I'd won Angler of the Year in 1992, I did a sport show, seminar trip deal. And it was a mix of Bass universities and some other appearances and sport shows like that. I did 31 days in 29 cities or something like that.
Yikes.
Crazy. I'd wake up in a motel room and not even know where the heck I was at.
Like a rock star, dude. Like Robert Plant.
Yeah, it was, but without all the money and the girls.
Hey, speaking of girls, who was KVD's original crush back in the day? You know, you're back in high school. Like, who was your babe? Like your celebrity babe?
You know, I had a couple of girlfriends, but you know, my wife Sherry, we met. I was in college, and she was a senior in high school, and we dated for 5 years before we got married. And I mean, this is before I was fishing professionally or anything at all. And you know, you gotta, my hat's off to her. She's pretty damn special to see what she was getting into and still go through with it, you know.
Yeah, and that's
been
cool.
a huge part of my success and my story for sure. She works behind the scenes. You know, she's always in the shadow. She doesn't like to be in front of the camera. She don't want to be in the limelight. She doesn't like to take credit for anything. But she's always been there to protect, you know, my brand and my image, my likeness. You know, manage. If she's my business manager, she's the mother of my children. She's done it all, and it's interesting because Becky Iaconelli is kind of the same thing for Ike.
Yeah.
You know, he brought a lot of balance to his life, and not that I mean my life's pretty damn hectic, or our lives are, I should say. But and I'm sure Mike would say the same thing. But gosh,
he did actually, and he also said Farrah Fawcett was his original.
Oh yeah,
that's what he said. So very.
I think
similar.
everybody had a crush on Farrah Fawcett.
Hey, do you have bass fishing dreams? Like, do you have dreams about bass fishing still?
All the time.
You do?
Hey, listen, I can't tell you how many times I woke myself up because I set the hook in a tree.
You don't hurt Sherry, do you, accidentally? You're like freaking jacking one on a flip bite with an 8-foot flip.
Yeah, 1,000%. At tournaments, man, it's super. Yeah, I live it. I can't tell you how many times you go there and you're winding down after the day, and you're kind of thinking through your strategy and what you did wrong that day and what you want to do the next day and what you saw and that, and you finally fall asleep because you're tired anyways, and you only got 3 or 4 hours to be up till you got to get up and do it over again. And shoot, before your alarm goes off, you're waking up setting the hook on one.
Yeah, it's a never-ending process, Kevin, and that's why we love it. That's why we love it. Hey, now get this. I know we're crunching here, and you I'm sure you're doing something tomorrow. You're either doing some Michigan fishing or hunting or something tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, we've got one thing that's pretty important to me. So, we have our own foundation too. It's something my wife started a handful of years ago, and we do a lot of different kids fishing initiatives, from providing the equipment stuff for kids camps and kids fishing programs to college scholarships. But we also have done a lot with our children's hospital. My boys were born super premature, while I was on tour, right? Yes. I mean, they were born while I was fishing professionally, and they were big time preemies. So I've always done a lot with the March of Dimes, and even St. Jude's, I've done some fundraisers and things for them. But our local children's hospital here in Kalamazoo, Bronson, they've got a great team there. They do some amazing work, and we've done quite a few different projects and things with them, helping them through our foundation. And so I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow. That's
cool.
Something that I'm kind of pretty looking forward to. So
nice.
Good opportunities in the future for me in this next phase of my career, to even, for us to be able to focus more on the work of our foundation as well.
Awesome. Kevin, and keep us posted on that. We'd like to share with the Bass Galaxy anything you got going on with that foundation.
Yeah, we try to do it all. Last couple of years, around our championship events at Red Crest, we've sponsored different kids fishing initiatives. We've done some habitat projects. We've done some lake cleanups. We've also done some stocking programs, and that's the ones that the stocking programs are what people get revved up about. When you start seeing the difference it's making, adding these Florida strain fish to some of these fisheries in the South, what it can turn into. I wish we could grow there's Floridas up here, and maybe someday we will be able to. But
could you imagine?
Those kind of things, I love bringing awareness to those projects and that, and that's something that I can do. I mean, I have that platform and the voice to be able to let people know what's going on in an area and some of these other issues. I mean, not just positive things, but also when there's something that comes up that needs addressing, like the situation going on in Okeechobee down there, with the fight over the water control and fishing being such a low priority of that, and it's so important to not just the bass in Okeechobee, but the Everglades themselves and the coastal fisheries too. So bringing awareness to all that kind of stuff is really critical to me as well. I've learned, after all these years, that's all I want to do is fish, catch, go do and that. But I've also learned how important conservation is, and awareness, and being a voice for some of these other organizations and things like that do good work, and that are raising funds to make a positive impact on the future, so that my kids are going to see. And too, you've fished a long time, Pat. These are the good old days right now of bass fishing. Okay. I mean, it's never been better. I mean, our smallmouth in the Great Lakes.
Oh boy.
I mean, remember when the zebra mussels got in there? It was going to be the end of the world. And then gobies, the same thing. Yeah. Well, these Asian carp are not a positive thing. So, I mean, we have a lot of challenges, but overall, bass fishing in general, from Texas to California to Washington, D.C. to upstate New York and Michigan, it's some of the best it's really ever been. And it's for multiple reasons, but a whole lot of it is people just like me and you. It's the anglers themselves taking the initiative, working with the agencies and the money that we spend, and the Wallop Bro taxes that goes back to conservation and goes back to the resource.
We need more of that. We really do to for the preservation of this sport.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's been really eye opening. I work real close, obviously, with Bass Pro Shops, as you know, and Johnny Morris is he's the modern day Teddy Roosevelt. He has done so much for concert. It's true.
It really is. You're very right about that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a lot of different things, right, that he's involved in. But as a company, he's put his money where his mouth is and support a lot of these great organizations, and really worked close at the highest level in Washington to make sure that the interests of hunters and anglers are first and foremost. A couple of weeks ago, I went and they asked me to help produce a promotional piece for the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, which that's exactly what they do, is they work in Washington with, both parties and legislatures to make sure that we're protecting the access to our woods and, our public lands, public waters, a lot of these different things that come up, again, just with water quality issues, or where they're going to, maybe start a mine, or they're going to shut down a lake, or whatever it is. That all, it all starts, the funding or the foundation, or a lot of it happens in Washington. So you have to have a powerful voice there. And to do that, it takes a lot of
guys like
money
you and Johnny Morris too. Powerful voices to get it going.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple. Here's the thing. With all that being said, here's Kevin VanDam, retired from tournament angling. Okay. Still making contributions to the sport. But may I say this, and I might sound selfish, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, Kevin, but I took a survey in the Bass Galaxy, and we do not want you to retire from competitive angling. We don't want. We want you to keep bassing, and we want you to come back and win another Bassmaster Classic trophy under Ray Scott's format. And
it sounds good, but I don't think you're going to see that happen. I mean, I'm really content with this next phase of what I'm going to do, and actually I'm pretty dang motivated do a lot of the things that we've just been talking about. So
I mean, it's great stuff, but come on. I mean, look at Ricky Clunn. He's still doing it. Clunn's. I mean, come on, man. Kevin, you gotta want to still compete in tournaments. Where's the drive? You gotta. It's still there. See, it's still there. You can't tell me it's not.
Oh no, you don't. It doesn't go away.
How do you stifle it then? How are you possibly going to stifle that when all these other guys are doing derbs around you and bringing in 5 biggins? You're going to be like, what in the heck is going on? I got to get out there.
Well, the good part for me is I don't have to go 100% cold turkey. So, because I qualified I've got a couple of championship events next year. So I got the Red Crest to fish in the spring and to prepare for. And I also got the heavy hitters team event, to go to. So I'm not going to just walk away, but I love being an educator, and I've been doing it, quite a bit of that already through my tournament career. But to be able to do it full time, it's pretty exciting, and it really fulfills that drive in me to be able to go out there and be successful in that. And, that's going to have to fill that competitive void. So,
but man, I mean, come on now hear me out. We're pleading to you before we go. All right. All right. So
I hear you.
Hear me out. Now,
a lot of guys come back. I just tell you how I feel right at the moment right now.
Live in the moment. I got you. You're an opportunist. Right. I get it. But now, I love Rick Clunn. Do you love Rick Clunn?
How do you not? I've known him for forever. I mean, he's one of my heroes for sure.
I believe he challenged you inadvertently. He said something to me, and he also said something on another bass fishing talk show about you. Do you know what he said?
I probably don't, or I mean, I didn't hear it.
Okay. Well, and again, no disrespect. And I believe that this was issued as a challenge to you because he knows you are a competitor. And he said, Kevin, when you left BASS and went to MLF, that you wrote the last chapter of your bass fishing career. And I believe that he said that as a challenge for you to come back and win another Bassmaster Classic trophy. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Well, I guess it's possible for him to think that, but I mean, only I can write my book, right, or write my last chapter, and tournaments have been a big part of it, and bass has been definitely a big part of my career. But so is MLF, and I think what I'm about to embark on is going to be very viable in the big scheme of the of the book of KVD.
Nice. So you're writing the last chapter, and hey, so I can dream about it. Can you at least say you might fish another Bassmaster Classic?
Hey. You never ever say never, right?
No, never. Think how happy Ray Scott would be if you won another Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I'll see him again someday, I'm sure.
we all will. And hopefully I'll have a cool fringy vest and a nice belt buckle too when I meet him.
The hat too. So it's funny because Mercer bought one of his hats, an autographed hat, original Ray Scott hat, and he couldn't bring it back on the plane because the box was too big for him to carry.
Oh wow.
So I carried that thing around and kept it for more than a year before I finally got it to him. Every time I look at that hat, I mean, Ray was a great friend, unbelievable, the original dang circus ringmaster, right?
Dude. He's the guy. He's the guy.
Ton of great memories. He's the reason we're all here.
And again, one of the coolest things, was those Zona shows where it was you, Zona, I think Skeet and Swindle, all at Ray Scott's pond. Come on,
the Flemish Cup.
Yes, the Flemish Cup. Outstanding. Amazing stuff. Kevin, You're not. And my Kevin VanDam will never retire. My Kevin VanDam is like, Ricky Bobby's little baby Jesus. You know what I mean? Like,
there you go.
My Kevin VanDam is out there winding and making lots of cash and winning another Bassmaster Classic. Just saying.
There you go. Keep living the dream, right?
Kevin, thank you so much for being awesome, dude. Like all these years, dude, just being an amazing contributor to what we love. I don't know how else to put it.
I've had a blast, and I'm going to keep having fun. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. Is if you're not having fun, why bother?
Yeah, exactly. And Kevin, I had a lot of fun tonight too. I hope you did too. Tonight was the most relaxed you and I have ever been together.
It goes like that, doesn't it?
It does. It's like Bassing.
The problem here, it's empty.
There it is. Cheers to you, KVD, and I will see you on this road to happy destiny out there somewhere. Oh, wait, before we go, we're giving away a KVD line and lure extravaganza box full of fun from Isaac over at KVD Line and Lure. So, Ginge, you want to text Kevin the winner? You got your phone by you, right, Kev? Okay, yeah. You got the winner. Gingy texted it to you. What do you want, a drum roll? You want me?
Here we go. Let's see if I can even pronounce it. Mike Etzel, you the lucky winner of KVD Line and Lure. It's incredible, man.
Mike
Etzel. Braid, fluoro, mono, cast farther, no tangles. That's the deal, man.
KVD.
Got to have it.
Line and Lure. There it is. Mike Etzel, you won. All you got to do is direct message the Straight Cast book Facebook, Rock and Shoal Fantasy, and Isaac from Line and Lure will get you out the KVD pack. Kevin, thank you so much. Again, amazing night. I had a great time, and I'll see you soon, bud. Best of luck.
Well, let's just not wait as long until we do this deal again, so.
I'm down anytime, man. And let's go bassing together. I'm a good time, Kevin. You might not be able to handle me.
Well, the dumb part is we ain't that far apart either. That's the crazy part.
I hear you.
You're close.
And I have a full, extensive Metallica collection that we could delve into.
Yeah. So that is, I went Father's Day to Soldier Field. Gosh, it's like 4 years ago or whatever, right before COVID.
Yep.
With my boys. Epic concert, dude.
I remember seeing it on your social. You were so happy. You looked like a little kid.
Oh my God.
You look like a little kid, Kevin.
No, the one song that they missed was, to me, one of my favorite Metallica songs is their Bob Seger rendition of
yeah. Turn the page.
They didn't play that one, but they played everything else that I love. It was incredible.
Whenever I hear of Wolf and Man, I think of Kevin VanDam. I hunt, therefore I am. You are Kevin VanDam. There it is. Thanks, bud. Peace. Say hi to the family. Appreciate
we will.
you.
See you. Peace out, boys.
See you soon. Bass Galaxy, that is the non-retired Kevin VanDam. He's coming back to win a Bassmaster Classic. You heard it here first on Straight Cast. Ginge, did you have fun tonight? Heck yeah, me too. We got one more deal to give away. And I want to tell everybody we're off next week, but we come back November 8th with the Linder Family Special. What do you think about that? All the Linders together in one spot here on Straight Cast. Now, we got a tin cup Mountain Whiskey Extravaganza pack, courtesy, of course, of Luke Foley and Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Gingy, do I got it? Oh, I dropped my phone. Okay. The winner is Scotty Burns. I made up the Scotty part. It's really Scott Burns. Scott Burns! I was confused. I thought you were like doing play on word things, Andy, when you first sent that, but it's not really. Scott Burns, you won the Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey Extravaganza pack. Just direct message. Rock and Shoal Fantasy on the Straight Cast book face page. And you're there. Boom. Bass Galaxy, I had a blast tonight. I don't know. It just does. It goes fast. Days on the water and days with Stray Cast. They go fast. Omnia Fishing, 25% off all flat sides right now. Till the end of the month, OmniaFishing.com. Power pole. We power pole down for pleasure. I don't know about you. Crestliner Boats, that's how we stay afloat. Abu Garcia in Berkeley. amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for all that you do for us in the Bass Fishing Galaxy. Ichikawa. Poison. Tiptoes. Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey, thanks for your giveaway tonight. KVD Line and Lure Spray, thanks for giving it up. Hey, White River. Shark. 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 All right, I'm all out of gas. Sims, thank you. Calsag Bass, Dan Bravarney, Impulse Lithium, Bob's Jack Plates, and of course, the folks at Alpha Angler. I'm Pat Renwick, and I bid you peace. A peace I bid you. See you November 8th with the legendary Linder family. We're out of here. This has been an Andrew Ellenberger Ginger Ninja production. Peace, Bass Galaxy.